Morning, everybody. I realized I haven't done a video or a live in like months. It's been months. And so the problem is that it's hard to come up with stuff to talk about. And so I've decided that instead of bigger topics, I'm going to share with you as we go the things that happen in my clinic, the conversations that I have that I think everybody should probably hear. And I'm happy to repeat them to y'all, but you may not want that. So we're just going to hit y'all at once, okay? So I had a really interesting conversation with an occupational therapist this week while she was assessing my own kid. So understand, but we share some common patients. And so we were talking about kids. And she was telling me about a patient that she has that's 3 years old and has autism. And she stims. So she flaps, she rocks, I mean, kind of the normal behavioral stuff. But it drives her mom crazy. And her mom wants her to stop. And so the question that she asked me was, did I think it was appropriate to try to extinguish stimming? So this isn't really totally about stimming. This is also just a greater commentary on parenting and what I see with your kids and what I see you do with your kids, and a little tough love that we have to have this conversation now. So first question, can you stop an autistic child from stimming? And the answer is theoretically yes. But don't. Because in order to stop a child from stimming, you basically have to give them such negative feedback that it would pretty much constitute child abuse. Like, the only way to stop a child from stimming is pretty much illegal and not okay. Unless you go to that level, you may redirect stimming, you may make it secretive behavior, which is a terrible idea because usually secretive stimming is self-harming. You may see all these other things, but what you're not gonna see is truly extinguishing stimming, okay? To extinguish it, you're gonna have to cross a line, and that's not okay. But the real question is, should you stop your kid from doing the things that comfort them, the flapping, the spinning, the kid in my office that was running, slamming into the wall, slamming into the table, slamming into the wall, slamming into the table, like a million times. And the med student was like, oh, yeah, it was stressful. That's what he was doing to relieve his stress. It worked. Should you stop your child from doing those things? And the answer is, first, we really ought to talk about why we're going to stop a kid from stimming. Okay. Remember, stimming is a necessary neurological function. It serves a purpose. It reduces stress and it helps kids focus. Okay. It's the autism equivalent of turning down the radio when you're trying to find an address so that you can see the address better. I don't know why we do that. That's because it helps us focus, to change our inputs. They're changing their inputs in order to cope with the world. Are you really proposing as a parent that we take away their primary coping mechanism? Because when you try to get a child to stop stimming, that's their primary coping mechanism. And you're going to take that away. Redirecting, it's one thing, okay? If they're self-harming, get them to do something different that provides stimulus without harm. But to tell them to stop coping, stop your coping mechanism, and figure out something else. Y'all, I wish that more people in the world rocked and flapped to cope instead of, all the other awful things we do to cope, like overeating, drug use, smoking. I mean, really, flapping's not bad, that it bothers you that much? Okay, let's put things in perspective, okay? Kids who can't use their normal neurological coping will go to other things. And those things are bad. So it can get worse. Number two, most parents want their kids to stop stimming because other people are going to make fun of them. That's what I hear. Well, he's going to get made fun of in class. Newsflash, my friends, your kid's going to get made fun of in class. I'm sorry to tell you that. That has nothing to do with their special needs. It has nothing to do with the way they look. It has to do with being a kid in America right now. Is it okay? No. But the solution is not to force your kid to conform. It's to teach your kids not to be an ass to other people. That's the solution to the problem. Okay, trying to change the way your kid is made to make him like criticism proof, that's never going to work. And all you're going to do is break the kid you already have. But what you might do is you might take away their coping mechanism. So now when they're getting made fun of, which is probably going to happen at some point, they can't cope. And you've actually made the problem worse. Okay? But the real reason that I think that most parents want their kids to stop stimming, it's not about the kid getting made fun of, because truthfully, a lot of my autistic patients don't really give a crap what other people think of them. Particularly the ones with really good, secure parents, they don't care. But it's more about what people say to the parents. Because when your kid's doing that stuff in public, people suck. Remember that little kids who bully come from grown-ups who bully. So people will comment, sometimes people in your family. And you may have this situation come up where, why is he doing that? Why do you let him do that? Why? Well, you should just make him stop. Well, that's super helpful, first of all. And you have my permission to tell anyone who does that to zip it. If you want your kid to stop stimming, I first ask you to ask yourself this question and give yourself a really honest answer. Is this about its impact on my child? Or is this about the impact on me, the parent? Which one is it? Really, which one is it? Because I'm not sure it's about your kid getting made fun of. I'm kind of thinking it's about you getting made fun of in grown-up speak, but it's the pressure to have this normal, perfect child. And that's okay that we acknowledge that, but it's not okay to take that out on our kids. Okay. So if you're trying to get your kid to stop doing something that's visibly different, for autistic kids, it might be stimming, but for other kids, it might be dyeing their hair blue or wearing the same sweatshirt every day for 3 months. My daughter does this. It makes me crazy. Or wearing matching socks. My daughter will get into fights with her grandmother over whether her socks match. I'm not kidding. And this has nothing to do with my kid. It has to do with how it reflects on the adults in her life. That's not about your kid. That's about you. And if you're going to parent a kid, particularly a kid with special needs, you have got to sort out your own garbage. You have to work out your own baggage and not take your kid's behavior and try to modify it to change the way the world interacts with you. I'm sorry. I know this is hard, guys, but I see so many parents trying to change the way their kid looks because it reflects on the parent. Well, that's fine. But who are you going to damage when you do that? You're going to damage your kid. I mean, I'd die for my kids. I think I can handle a little bit of stupid parental criticism from people who don't know any better. And by the way, I do still get that. Even as a pediatrician, it's kind of hilarious, actually. And I tell them I'm a pediatrician, and then it goes sideways from there. But I would just ask you, as you look toward behavior modification, as you look toward changing what your child's doing, let's just make sure that the focus is on building a strong, resilient adult from this little person you've been put in charge of. And that the goal is not to present a perfect face to the world, because that perfect face does immeasurable amounts of damage to kids. Love them for who they are. If your family, if your friends can't get it together and deal with it, you have to start making decisions. There are people out in the world who will support you and who will not comment and who will be wonderful about your kid's blue hair or flapping or whatever they got going on. There are people out there who will support you. Seek them out. But do I think it's appropriate to stop your autistic child from stimming? The answer is absolutely not. I think it's incredibly dangerous. And it's very scary when I watch parents try to do these things. you're causing your kids pain, you're removing their coping mechanisms, and it can get worse, okay? If you've got questions, you know where I am. Come visit us. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.